a code red for humanity. Curb emissions and dramatically reduce consumption or face a world that is fundamentally different.
When Kermit the Frog sang, "It's not easy being green," I want you to know that he was wrong. He was wrong.
There is no planet B. There is no planet blah. Blah, 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 blah.
It is unequivocal that human activities are responsible for climate change.
If unprecedented changes are not made and made soon, there will be irreversible damage to the planet.
Zero carbon.
East Hall.
Hello and welcome to Zero Carbonista Series 3, The Sky's the Limit. I'm Ian Collins and this is the UK's #1 environment-based podcast. Remember, if it's green, you'll hear it here. And it's Jubilee Week 2, which means we've whipped out the Zero Carbonista bunting, hung out some flags, and we've got a slice of nice vegan flan to go with it as well. Our man in the throne with the crown of indignance and the sceptre of determination is the green entrepreneur and environmentalist Dale Vince. Dale, morning.
Yeah, awesome. We want green flan, okay, but not green flannel. We don't want any of that.
No green flannel. Absolutely. There's enough of that out there, of course, as we know. So how are you feeling? You know, we're recording this on the Jubilee Day. In an hour or so, the royal family will be on the balcony. I can almost see the hairs on the back of your neck standing up with pride, Dale.
Yeah, we should be doing it live, shouldn't we? Outside the gates of Buckingham Palace.
Well, we should be on the balcony. That's what I'm saying.
That's right. Hey, and we weren't in the list, right? It came out today.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I'm devastated to see that, you know, I thought at least a knighthood would be coming your way.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a Tory politician in there. I mean, what do they ever do? Tory politicians, I mean, what do they do?
It's kind of funny, isn't it? The you know, that kind of gig. I can see, you know, somebody raises loads of money for charity and works solely in a benevolent fact. You know, I get all of that. It's nice to be recognised, and you know, whether it's a royal thing or just however you look at it, that's great. But you know, there are some people who get like a gong for existing, and I find that troublesome. Yeah,
me too. Yeah, I mean, I often look at them and just think, well, what have these people actually done for the country in life? And I can't come up with an answer.
For services to Arse-Clownery. That's usually what it is. So let's talk about green gas.
Yeah, let's do it. So I think we're only a couple of days since we posted the big green gas episode, aren't we? Because it ran late because of a football story.
Yes.
We couldn't post it last Friday, so I think we posted it on Monday this week. And that was a big thing. And we've had loads of coverage for it. And now we're trying to get some traction, you know, some policy traction with it because well, we talked about it last time, so I'm not going to go into it again, but it's just a massive opportunity for our country.
Yep.
And actually is viable in other parts of the world as well. So here we go. Let's see if we can land this one.
What has to happen? I mean, what's the kind of, I don't want to use the word stumbling block, but, you know, what might be kind of in the way?
The government.
Oh, those shysters.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So, I mean, in what form would that objection take then?
Well, I think it's not so much that they're in the way. It's more that the lack of action is in the way, and they could actually enable a national green gas program if they got proactive, looked at the planning process, looked at putting some support behind green gas and that kind of stuff. And crucially, looked realistically at the heat pump program, which is just going to cost so much money and cause so much disruption and be so wasteful of the tens of millions of appliances we throw away. If they just look at that seriously and drop it and then pick up green gas, then we're on our way.
Yeah, one of the problems with heat pumps, as one conservative actually explained to me, is that it kind of has all the right sound bites to it. And, you know, heat pump sounds digestible. We're addressing green issues, carbon zero and all of that. It's very easy for governments to say it and for people to get their head around, and you're meant to be left with the impression that this is the best thing ever. And of course, it's not the best thing ever. And it's simultaneously not the best in terms of efficiency, but it's also not the best in terms of cost either. In fact, it's an utter waste of money.
No, everything is wrong with it. But it's kind of become conventional wisdom, my favorite oxymoron, that we have to electrify the heating of our homes to solve, that part of the climate crisis problem. We have to give up fossil fuel gas. That part is correct, but we don't have to electrify our homes. So we've got to challenge this conventional wisdom and say, no, look, there's a far better way. There's no point throwing away tens of millions of boilers and cookers, scrapping the national gas grid, spending $8,000 per household, putting in a heat pump that will add 50% to your annual energy bill and give you colder water than your boiler did. Correct. And cause you to have to upgrade your heating system. There is no point in doing that when we have an alternative, which is to grow some grass, right? Sure. Favorite of us hippies, and turn it into green gas.
Well, Phil sent a message via LinkedIn. He says, can grass really solve the energy crisis? Because again, in fairness, I think a lot of people will kind of trying to get their head around this thinking, hang on, this is like turning
carbon into diamonds.
No, I was thinking, that can be done as well. Some people will say, this is kind of like alchemy.
Well, look, we've done alchemy, right? We've taken carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and turned it into diamonds. True. No problem, right? Turning grass into methane to put it in the gas grid is a doddle compared to that. And, it's totally existing in the world today. What's new is the idea that we've got enough grass in this country to power all of our homes and all of our business and save a shed load of money, create a load of jobs, and solve that part of the climate crisis puzzle all at the same time. It's an amazing combination and opportunity for us. Oh, and it creates incredible habitats for nature.
Talking of nature, nature that might not be so welcome, ticks. Did you see this story? I mean, this is incredible. A warning that ticks will be all year round. They've become a kind of, that there would have been something, and Lyme disease can, of course, the bacterial infection can be one of the issues that derives from this. But previously, ticks would have been around for a short period of time in a year. But now, due to climate change, this is an all year round thing.
Yeah, everything's changing, isn't it? Stuff's moving north to more temperate zones. Wildlife's on the move, including ticks. And, I guess they're finding favorable conditions because our seasons are merging, aren't they, right? They're blending. We don't have extreme summers and winters anymore. We just have extreme weather all the time. It comes and it goes, doesn't it?
True.
But, where are the cold winters gone?
Yeah, where have the cold winters gone? And it's funny because we talk about strange seasonal changes. The weekend that has just gone, it was a bit chilly. And I remember it wasn't normal chilly. It wasn't kind of like, sometimes it's a bit cold. It was that kind of sort of November chilly, when you feel it in your nostrils. Yeah. So you wouldn't have put a gloves and scarf on in that sense. But there was a very different sense and a feel to what you should be experiencing as you move into June.
Yeah, and then the next day it's like this, right? 20 degrees at 10:30 in the morning.
It's all right.
And you're like, yeah, okay. So summer's back again.
Here's one from Naomi. It says, long-time listener to the podcast. Question for Ian. What is the most important lesson you've learned from Dale over the last 3 years of podcasting together? That's a really good question.
Interesting question.
I think probably it's about questioning convention. I think we just touched on it, didn't we, with the the heaters, the heat pumps.
Yeah.
And, the idea that alternatives don't exist, alternatives do exist, but you don't hear about them with the same fanfare and headlines as you do with, a government plan cooked up on the back of a cigarette packet.
Yeah, by a lobbyist, right? Somebody that's selling heat pumps.
Yeah. Well, someone's worked out, haven't they? Right, okay, we can do this, but we've also got to appease this group over there or that group over there. And, what about appeasing, here's an example, the planet, for example. That might help.
That's right. But I think it's a fundamental problem of government that certain people get access and everybody else doesn't. And in this case, it's lobbyists for the air source heat pump industry that have got the ear of government, convinced them it's the best thing since sliced bread, and they've sold Boris Johnson a new set of clothes, basically. He's the emperor in this metaphor, and he's naked because air source heat pumps, they're worse than rubbish, in my opinion. As a national plan, it's incredible, it's crazy, and who sold that to him?
Yeah, Boris. If you've left me with the thought of Boris Johnson naked now, that's a very unpleasant thing to do at this time of day. I can't now unsee this. Here's a headline: Big Tobacco having a devastating impact on the environment, according to a WHO report.
Yeah, right. Not just killing 8 million people a year, as if that was not enough. Sticking 7,000 toxic chemicals into the environment. That's just crazy. And cigarette butts are the second biggest source of plastic pollution worldwide. I mean, come on, we know that plastic pollution is a problem, but I didn't know it was from cigarette butts, second biggest cause. Incredible.
It makes sense, doesn't it, if you think about it? They're discarded literally all over the place. There's nowhere you can go. It's like chewing gum on the paper. It's just this stuff is everywhere.
It's true. I guess I never really thought that they were plastic. I never really thought about it, Maybe like the people that discard them, I thought they would break down, magically disappear.
Yeah,
They don't.
Yeah, they certainly don't. Question in from Wharfdale Wood Carvings on Facebook. Dale, just wanted to mention, we're struggling to get some of your Devil's Kitchen products on Ocado. Always sold out locally.
Yeah, this has happened a couple of times, and we'll give them a prod because they're holding enough nationally. We haven't got a shortage of them, but I think it's a question for Ocado as to where they keep them. And if they don't keep them in your region, then they'll show them as sold out. But I don't know if there's any way on the Ocado website to prod them about that, but we'll give them a prod our end.
Yeah, you need a prod feature, don't you?
You do. You need a prod button. A prod button.
Yes.
Like, come on, guys. Where are these?
Add to basket, mark as favourite, or just prod. That's the missing thing on the interface of these websites. I like this story. Leading scientists say we must cut emissions, not adapt our way out of the climate crisis. I was talking to somebody about this recently, that there is that sense of, okay, so we change our behavior and we just learn to kind of morph into a new normal. But that's not really enough, because that kind of, either lets people off the hook or doesn't really address the fundamental problem, which is physically actually cutting emissions.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this is like it's a little bit like the big thing that the oil and gas companies are doing. A lot of Tory politicians are doing it as well, which is just talk about the transition like it's some magical path we can walk down and everything is solved. And for them, it's a way of kicking this issue into the long grass. When in fact we have to stop emissions and we have to do it very soon. So I'm completely agreeing with this scientist that said, I thought it was obvious we have to stop emissions. We can't just change our lives a little bit. We've got to stop. And then when we've done that, we've got to find a way to get the excess carbon out of the atmosphere and bring it down to more normal levels. It's a two-step thing as far as I'm concerned. But step one is a massive ask.
Let's go back to where we started about, grass as an obvious example. That would be huge.
Yeah, it would make a massive difference, right? At the moment, the grass gas that we're proposing looks like it's 90% has 90% less greenhouse gas emissions than North Sea gas and the fertilizer industry, which is made from gas.
Wow.
But the guys at Imperial College are saying we can get to 99% with a little bit of tweaking of the process and stuff, which is almost complete, right? It's almost carbon free compared to that. Because not a lot of people realize that fertilizer is made from gas, fossil gas.
Yep.
It's one of the big causes of pollution. And of course, one of the great things about green gas mills is the byproduct is natural fertilizer, which is fantastic. But yeah, blah, blah, blah. I'm off,
Is anyone is anyone else around the world done the grass thing?
Yeah, grass has been used to a degree in Germany. That I know. But I don't know of any. Nobody's done a national program for it. Nobody's really gone at it and said, right, let's switch all our houses to a different kind of gas and business, actually, in our case.
And is there, detractors might say, and I know you and I are going to probably do a debate on the radio at some point on this very issue, because detractors would obviously say, well, if it was that easy, somebody would be doing it. That's usually the answer that comes out.
That's my favorite. Apart from
it's a very lazy, anti-intellectual response, but that is the one.
I love it. It's so illogical, right? If it was that easy, somebody would have already done it. Excuse me, somebody has to do everything first, right?
Correct.
Surely. That's logical.
Yeah. That's the way it tends to work, isn't it? Yeah.
It does tend to work that way.
When the bloke invented the wheel, nobody went, well, it's a stupid idea, because, if it was that good, somebody else would have already done it. No, mate, I'm doing it first. I'm literally the first. That's why I'm doing it, because no one has done it.
Yep, bang on.
It's a nice thought.
Do you know what, Ian? Sometimes I also think that these renewable energy solutions are too simple, too clean, too easy. They aren't complicated like a nuclear power station. They don't come with a huge price tag and all kinds of complications. And it's like people go, oh, but that can't be that easy. Yes, it can.
Well, it's going to be interesting how this pans out and whether the green lights are there as you move through this process. We certainly hope so. Couple of points to finish on, Dale. New head coach for Forest Green Rovers. You teased this last week. What's happening?
Yeah, this is what knocked our green gas story and podcast episode actually out of last Friday. we'd waited patiently for Notts County to finish their season and then approached them for permission to speak to the head coach or manager. I'm not sure what his role was there. They gave it. We had a chat and we agreed terms and he signed. But he was going on holiday Saturday, so we had to announce on Friday. And so we rustled up a quick press conference on Friday at Forest Green Rovers and introduced him to the world. And we're, very happy, actually. He's exactly the kind of guy that we're looking for. His name's Ian Birchnell.
I was going to say, are you going to actually tell us who it is? So that was just like the biggest tease ever.
I was trying to remember while I was talking. and he's coming across with his assistant as well. And, they just seem like fantastic people. They're going to fit with us at the club and what we want to do. It's going to be a great team. So, you could say this is the silver lining that came out of the cloud from a couple of weeks ago, and happy days.
And what a great time to be joining a club as well. I mean, when promotion, the phrase "spring in your step" is kind of there, right? So your starting point in terms of an invigorated team and optimism and all that goes with it, and that's key, of course. To success of football clubs is all there. So for those guys to come in at this point is particularly prevalent.
Yeah, true. It's a great time to be joining a club. We've been for a long time now a club on the up, with a lot of positivity and stuff. But this is a big one, actually. Finding ourselves in League One, that's a big one.
That's a beauty, isn't it? A beauty. Final one from Dominic Howe Architecture on Instagram. Dale and Ian, I know this isn't commercial radio, but can you give us a shout out? We listen in the office every Friday. There you go. Dominic Howe Architecture.
Check it out.
They should be like designing stuff for us, like a shed.
I was going to say as long as it's made out of wood, and then you went and said shed.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So perfect.
No one wants a metal shed. That just becomes too hot. Brilliant. Dale, have a cracking weekend. I know you're going to be putting your Union Jack suit on as you parade the streets, waving your flag of regal joy.
I'm going to get my sound system out and blast out God Save the Queen, I reckon, but it'll be the Sex Pistols version.
It'll be the Pistols version. How did I know that?
I don't know.
Speak next week, Dale.
Yeah, cheers, Ian.
That is it for this episode. Don't forget, of course, you can follow this podcast from your podcast provider so that you get each new episode automatically. Leave a review there as well. And really important bit that you follow Dale on social media, twitter.com/DaleVince, facebook.com/DaleVince.
Zero Carbon
East on.